live at West Nile Television here in Arua City on Weatherhead Park Lane. That's where you are going to locate us in case you are looking for West Nile Television. I am not alone in the studios. My name is Frederick Tamadri. I have Faris Majid, who is one of the journalists with West Nile Television, with me here. Maybe Faris, you're most welcome. First things first.
Yes. Thank you, Frederick. Very good morning to you, our dear viewer. You're most welcome to the Kokoliriko Show. My name is Faris Majid, as earlier introduced by Frederick Dramadri, and we shall be taking you up the hour of 9 a.m.
Okay, Faris, you had an experience of chatting with the priests about the essential day. I don't know, as a Muslim, how did you feel chatting with the priests and also the religious in the Christianity? How did you feel about
it? Was a nice experience. I moved to a number of places. I didn't actually know about this day. I got to know about this day yesterday, and I believe, just like me, there are so many people out there who may not be knowing about this day and the importance of it and the relevance of this day to the Christians. And yesterday we were at Catholic Center together. I think I was with you at the church, and we also went to St. Philip's. We went to a number of other churches, but one of the messages the preachers were able to relay to the masses were to take importance of this day by emulating Maria, by doing some of the things. Actually, the priest at Christ the King was asking if they would make comparison of this, if the women of these days would actually draw a comparison of themselves to Maria, you would see a big difference. So she appealed to them to actually emulate some of the characters of Maria. Talking about her character, she was a loving woman, caring, and she actually told them to care for their families and their husbands as well. That is the message I picked interest in.
By the way, that is one concern that is in the communities. You have these mothers who are really not caring about their children. Even really caring for your husband is very, very paramount, because you really, all of you actually took vows to say, maybe I will care for you, I will care for you, and so on. We really need to do this practically by showing that love that we promised when we were dating or calling ourselves. So maybe slightly away from that, first things first, we have so many issues that we'll be diving into. There are a lot of developments around maybe surveillance or maybe curtailing diseases of global nature. We have global health threats that are ravaging East African region. That is where we'll be putting our national stories too. But first, let's start from Arua City. There are a lot of things that we saw were happening. We saw the Indian community donating blood. They were launching the blood donation drive in Arua City. Maybe these are our colleagues from outside the world, on the other side of the world, not really within Africa. So what does this mean to the local people who have been really running away from donating blood, maybe under the pretext of saying, maybe I'm very small, my body is not enough, like what, and so on. So maybe Faris, what do you learn from that kind of experience from the Indian community?
Talking about the issue of blood donation, you know, blood is a good that you will never buy from factory. It is got from the human beings, so it is upon us. So what they did to me was very good. It's called for, and I want to appeal to the masses to also emulate the Indians and start doing the same, because blood is needed. If you go to the health facilities, at times you find blood is not there, but this blood cannot be purchased. It is through the donations that maybe this blood is there. So if you're not able to donate blood, as you say, the pretext of saying, I'm not small, I'm too small, I'm too tiny, my blood is not enough. Blood is not measured that way. Before this protect blood out of you.
There are some people who say, I did not eat food yesterday.
Now, that
my
is where
my kilograms are not in.
That is where the
those are
concern
some of the things that people say a lot. But do you think this is the right thing that we should copy from this community, or we really need another strategy to mobilize for this blood?
Obviously, yes, because blood currently is not enough in the country. You know, that is why these blood donation drives are always carried out. If you were to move to these facilities where this blood is kept, you will find out that most of the equipments that are meant to keep these bloods are lying idle, because blood is not to them. But it still also goes back to the policymakers and the people who handle these bloods. You know, at times when you need blood and you have been a donor, sometimes it becomes difficult for you to access this blood. So I think the public also loses trust into them. But I want to appeal to the public to donate blood, because blood is not a gift. It's not a good that you maybe go to the shop and buy. It is not manufactured like other goods.
Yes.
It is got from the human beings.
Remember, if you are battling maybe cases of now look at the status we have now. We have so many accident cases that have been reported. We have anemic mothers and babies. We have these elderly persons who really may not really survive if they are not transfused. We have sickle cell kind of patients who really need blood throughout. So where do they get the blood from? It is from us, those who are still healthy, who are doing well, who are really visibly good.
Talking about the issue of blood still, Frederick, you know, this is not a good that you're going to buy, as I said earlier on. So if you be in that need of blood, that is when you will be able to have the love to donate blood. But many people are still reluctant about the issue of blood donation. It may not be you necessarily, but maybe your relatives, maybe your children, maybe who may at one time need the blood. So it is upon us to donate the blood. Because at the end of the day, we're not going to get this blood from trees, we're not going to get them from factories, but it is from the humans. So I want to appeal to the masses to be human enough by donating these bloods, by not undermining these drives. But you see this, at times you see where these donation drives are put, people just pass. People do not want to pass by. Others go and donate because of what is given out there. Sometimes, I remember during school times, we had a friend who went to donate blood necessarily because he had the love, he had the interest, but it's just because of the soda and the biscuit that we have been given out. And when he missed the biscuit, he almost requested for his blood back. So I think
there's need for us to motivate people really to do blood donation. Apart from the issues around maybe giving people the chance to donate, or maybe all the time focusing, asking them to donate blood, what are the things that we can do to help our people really come back and donate? For instance, I've donated for more than 10 times, but I've not seen that value to motivate me to come back and donate. Can this really be something that we look at? When Red Cross came into Uganda in the first phases, there used to be T-shirts, there used to be capes, there used to be, sometimes they give soap, sometimes they give soda and so on, certificates. These were motivating factors that really people really thought they should, if this continued, it will be something of importance and motivating others to really come and donate. But now these things have not been there. Don't you think really motivating the donors and keeping them around has been one of the challenges, making maybe some people to fall back?
Frederick, still, it goes back to the issue of the value of the blood you give out, as you said. You know, at times when you need this blood, because it becomes difficult to access this blood at the health facilities at times. It becomes difficult because the doctors and the people who are there that are meant to give, that are meant to easily give you this blood sometimes take long. So at the end of the day, you get demoralized instead of donating. You get demoralized, and if your relative out there has passed on due to a result of low blood, you can tell, and that shows how many people are going to be losing the interest in donating the blood. And at times, this blood is sold expensively. If you move to the health facilities, this blood is purchased expensively, yet you gave it free. You gave it free, perhaps in exchange for soda and biscuit. But when you're going to purchase this blood, you can now tell how much money you're going to be spending. So at the end of the day, it also demoralizes the people who are meant to donate. And I think the government still needs to do more in terms of the issues of blood donation in the awareness campaign. Let them come out and educate the masses about the need to donate blood. Let them openly tell the masses. Let them encourage the masses by doing so many things. Maybe at the end of the day, we shall see an increase in the number of blood that is being donated, because each and every day the demand for blood keeps on going up. In this country now, if you look at what is happening in the country, Frederick, you can tell, there are several accidents that are going on. Just a few months ago, I was at Mulagu. I was able, when I was there, I was able to see the demand for the blood. So I think that encouraged me to donate blood, and in the next blood donation, I think I'll be able to Go out and give blood.
So we expect you to also start doing that.
Yes, I need to do that.
This is a plus to the Indian community, and I think if other communities are able to replicate the same and also do this kind of campaigns, this will really cement their relationship with the people, the nationals, and so on, the people who are here in Uganda. Because really, for you to identify yourselves with us, you need to also give back to us, because some of them came as investors, you know. So when they're investing, they go with the money and so on. So what is that they really have as the impact to the communities? I really appreciate the Indian community who turned out yesterday to donate blood. Maybe still within health, we are seeing cases of leprosy increasing in Terego district, and this was revealed during the district's health review committee meetings, and this really showed that Terego district is leading in Western region with leprosy cases, and the affected sub-counties include Omugo, Oriema, Bliefe, and Odupi. These are where some of the cases are really escalating. This is a bacterial disease, and really, if we take precautions against it, and really, maybe if you have seen some signs, you should be able to rush to health facilities, and that's where you will be treated within 6 or 8 or 12 months. That's according to health personnel. Maybe Faris, what do you make of this? What are the myths surrounding the issues to do with leprosy? Because we have been seeing that people really come out and say, maybe it was so and so who caused you, and so and so. You see, this have been so much into the communities in the fight of against leprosy. Also looking at the issues around stigma, this have been so much in Uganda. Generally, 40% of the victims of leprosy, I would say, that those affected by leprosy have been isolated, and they stay lonely because people think maybe if you are near them, this leprosy can really extend to you. Maybe Faris, what do you make of this?
Yes. Leprosy is a disease. While growing up, I got to know it as one of the diseases that the elders used to intimidate the little ones. You know, it is a disease. So I'm meant to understand if the elders of these areas, which you mentioned, have now started cursing the masses. Maybe. That is why the result, that is how it is resulting. But I think that is not, it is a myth that surrounded the people. It is a disease that, as you said, it's a bacterial infection that leads to this disease here. But the myths that surrounded this disease with the stigma that it comes with, Frederick, I can tell you how this disease is very bad in the communities. I don't know if you have ever seen any person with leprosy getting married. I don't know if you have ever heard of a case. If it's that, maybe one or two.
Apart from our grandmother, that is Ofunaro, who married to Banale in the history that we used to read. So but I've not seen. People are really suffering
this disease. First of all, people who have this disease have been isolated in various ways. First of all, many people still believe this disease is communicable. Maybe if I stay with this person who has leprosy, at the end of the day, I may be able to contract it, but which is not right. So it is a disease that I think the public needs to get sensitized about. The government needs to come out and tell the people about this disease, and the health facilities that in this area that you mentioned need to have the services, because this is a curable disease if it's still in the early stages. And you know how dangerous leprosy is. First of all, it chops off the hands, the toes. So if we are able to maybe have the required medical personnel and the services at these health facilities, maybe at the end of the day we shall be able to avoid some of the masses getting their toes and feet chopped off, because this is a disease that people will always identify you for. If you have these symptoms, yet these symptoms of leprosy do not remain there. We know the impact of leprosy on the skin, how it affects the skin color when it is still in the early stages. So it is upon the masses, once they start realizing these symptoms, it is upon them to rush to the medical facilities when it's still time. Maybe at the end of the day, you will be able to get the required treatment and avoid your hands being chopped off, because this is a curable disease. But talking about leprosy, we know how dangerous it has been impacting on the masses. First of all, it divided people. As you said, the stigma that comes with. But people who had leprosy people will not want to associate with them. They always even have houses where they sleep alone. People tend to abandon them. People tend to avoid staying with them, which is not right. This is a disease just like other diseases. I remember even the stigma does not only stop there. It goes to the whole family.
Yeah.
If you are to marry somebody that is coming from a family that has stigma, you always know. People will always come out. You are marrying that lady who comes from that family who has leprosy. People will always come out and tell you. So it is a disease that does not only stop there. The stigma that comes with leprosy does not only stop on the victims who are affected, but sometimes it also goes back to the families. That is what I can make of leprosy. It's not a good disease, but it can be curable when it's still in early stages.
Okay, if we are sick, let's respond to health facilities for medication, but also family members, let's support our dear ones. Let's support our dear ones. There's no one who will come from maybe America to come and maybe take care of our loved ones. These are your relatives, these are your people, these are your friends, maybe neighbors. Really, can we help them and really take them to health facilities where need be, so that they get treated? There are so many who have survived from some of these diseases. It is not really a disease that can make you die off within a week or maybe within a day and so on. It is something that really takes somehow a bit longer, but if we treat it early, we will not develop other comorbidities like cancer that also comes with this kind of things. So we'll advise that we increase on some of these cases that are in the communities by reporting them. If we can reduce some of these cases, and then we will not really have this kind of leprosy in this region. I thought really we were out of leprosy at some point, because we were not really seeing these cases coming up, but now we are seeing them coming again and again. That means there's need to do a lot with these diseases that have been silent in the region. Talk about these other infections like plague and TB that have been silent killers around the world. So if we can focus much into the issues of treatment and also responding quickly when we see signs and so on, that is a plus to the community. So maybe Faris, yes, our health facility is ready to really do much in helping.
That is the question I was coming to, because this is a neglected disease. As you earlier said, it is a disease that I think was being left out. We are not talking much about leprosy. We are putting more emphasis on other diseases, talking about that disease. We had HIV, we are still talking about. We had COVID. Many people are not talking about leprosy, but the return of leprosy, I think, is very shocking. This is to me. And I think the relevant authorities need to do more in terms of maybe providing the necessary health assistance to the victims. But now the question is, are our health facilities having what is required to deal with the leprosy cases? Are they having the equipment? Are they having the medical personnel that will be able to assist maybe the victims who are suffering from leprosy? That is another question that maybe we will be able to ask, of which I don't think if currently we have answers to. But if it is not the case, I want to appeal to the government. Let them up their game in form of maybe giving the required health, the required what is required of them in the health facilities in terms of medical personnel, in terms of the drugs. Maybe at the end of the day we shall be able to reduce on the number of people affected by leprosy.
Okay, so those health personnel, we have now so many departments in health. There is that for surveillance, there's that for maybe rapid response, what. There are so many. We learned about them during the COVID and so on. So we expect really expedition in the issues to do with community sensitization, the issues to do with really educating the community around these kind of diseases, much as really Terego tops this in the region. But we could see a reduction if we educate masses. We could see people also turning out, because there are some people who do not know what is happening with them. But in case we are able to spell out clearly what these kind of infections come like, people will be able to identify.
It still goes back.
Yes.
Why is it that Terego is the one that is leading in this disease?
But of course, maybe,
that is something we need to understand also. What is there that is in Terego, that is making Terego top the districts in terms of people having leprosy?
We have not really gone much into the details of really how this emerged, because it was a brief thing, and I think the health personnel have what would have really made this disease re-emerge in the district, because I am meant to understand that primarily the districts like Arua, Zombo, and Terego, including Mariokolo, were those that initial had these cases really very much. But now for the last more than 10 years, these cases have not been really there so much. And right now we are seeing them coming up so much, and that means a lot to do with the health of our bodies. How do you care about your skin? How do you care about your health? How do you really maybe relate with people who are maybe having such kind of diseases? So those are some of the things we really need to focus much into. Also the health personnel, like I said earlier, let's really increase on educating the communities. Apart from all the time being in the offices, let's move to the communities. We have also these health assistants in sub-counties. Now we have health centers that have been upgraded with the number of staff, up to 54 that we expect will be really delivering a lot into this. And also health centers, 14 health workers. But now government is saying they are phasing out all these health centers. I don't know if this will solve some of these issues, but I believe in case we increase on education, we increase on maybe also sensitizing masses, using the mass media, using all the sources of maybe getting closer to the people, that is where we'll be able to tap it right. Maybe first, I don't know if you have a few words to conclude this discussion about the disease.
Concerning the issue of leprosy, it goes back. You know, people may even still be having the mindset that so and so cast you, that is why we are still having this. I think the masses also need to be sensitized about this disease. Frederick, you know, there is myths that surrounded leprosy. Many people do not believe it is a disease, but it is a curse. Many people took it as a curse. That is how we took it in my clan, in my tribe. That is how we took it, which is not the case.
General Lubaras believed that.
Yes, we believed
somebody who is having leprosy.
Yes,
is that person who has been cursed.
Yes,
or else he has done something wrong, or maybe the grandparents did something wrong.
So it is not the case.
That is the result. But that is not true. Please, let's believe that the best results will come out from the health personnel. If we have treated it maybe from government facilities or maybe health facilities generally, because now we have the private facilities that are also doing well into reducing some of these infections. If we have tried it and it has failed, maybe you can go to that option, whether they have cursed you or what, later on. Please, let's prioritize health sector the most important. Apart from going to traditional healers, man, these traditional healers are so much
always extort money.
Let's really talk something little about them. Have they really helped much into reducing these cases? How do we make them be in the system, the health system, referral pathways? Because I believe 40% are meant to understand that according to the Commissioner Animal Health, 40% of the diseases, they get reports from these traditional healers. So can we strengthen that system?
Talking about the issue of medical reception in the body, how people administer maybe the drugs to their bodies, how people get treated, depends on the belief. That is how I believe. The way you receive treatment and you respond to treatment believes in. I believe it also it is affected by what you believe in. You know, people believe in these traditional healers sometimes also get healed. That time I was talking
from your belief.
Yes, it's not from my belief. That time I was sharing. Yes. I was sharing with a colleague who very much trusted this doctor, but to me this doctor I knew is a quack.
When you look at him,
yes, like when you look at him, and professionally is not qualified. That is one thing I can openly say. He's not qualified, but he's doing medical work. But the people who go to him very much believe that it is to them, it is to him that they can be able to get the treatment they want. And to them it was working. They could see them getting treated. So I believe likewise, the people who go to these traditional healers, or maybe for this local medicine, at times also get the treatment they want. That is why they still keep on going there. That is why the demand is still there. If that was not the case, nobody will not be seeing the increasing number in terms of traditional healers. The numbers are going up. Then it means there's something wrong it means that there's something maybe they are doing that is unique, that some people believe in, and that is why the numbers will always keep on rising up.
Okay, you might never know that people are really impressed in moving to maybe the traditional healers, the herbalists and so on. And I think the district leaders need to tap into that and look at what kind of really services are to be delivered at that point. Really, also we have the herbalist association. Are these people registered? Are their activities known by government to avoid this kind of cases coming up? Because people believe, most of the rural people believe that really the witch doctors do the best in really curing them from some of these kind of diseases. But also, much as people trust in them, let's also look at the services they are providing. Are they really trying to do it within the law? Are they doing it really not within the law? Those are the things we really need to look at. Also, if we really need to curtail some of these diseases. Apart from leprosy, I saw that the Terego districts took a hand also of really moving into some of these shrines to talk about the issues of malaria, because people really, when they start experiencing those signs, most of them in Terego believe that they are being poisoned. So that has been one of the beliefs that I thought really, if we need to fight some of these diseases, we really need to kill that vice. Okay, let's take a break, and then when we come back, we'll be discussing about Ministry of Health saying that they have really done a lot in recruitment of health staff, now up to 86% countrywide. What impact does this have on the health system? Is this strengthening the health system? What is happening on maybe in the grassroots, where we have the health center 3s, health center 2s, where these staff are to be deployed? Are the staffs adequate? We are coming to discuss this, and then we'll move to other issues later on. Let's take a break.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Inside technology. New TV innovation with an inbuilt decoder that connects you to both StarTimes antenna and satellite signal. With StarTimes inside Global Star TV, you can enjoy over 300 local and international channels, 1 month StarTimes highest bouquet for free, automatic system update, more benefits, more affordable. StarTimes inside Global Star TV is available in all StarTimes branches and dealers countrywide. StarTimes Inside, entertainment inbuilt.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
welcome back from that commercial break. We are discussing about the leprosy issues in the region that has really made Terego district to be top on the lock with this kind of cases that present with the skin rashes and so on and so on. Maybe let's dive into sports, where the golf ground for West Nile region has been turned by investors as farmland to really do a lot of growing of their crops. This is something really that is very, very unfortunate for this region. If we really see those kind of things, that is really unfortunate. Maybe Faris, you were there present when we went there and really got some cutaways of the people really harvesting, or maybe there were others digging, there were others planting, and so on and so on. So many activities were taking place in the golf ground. Are the leaders there? Are they not there? Is it because maybe they have sold off the golf ground? Is that the thing? Maybe what observations do you make of what the activities are? Issues
concerning government land, sometimes that is a way that people will always encroach on them. Somebody will want to come and with a view, I want to do this thing, but I'm meant to understand who gave this with the mandate, who gave them the authority to do the farming in the golf course, because this is a pavilion that is meant to be used by the masses and the people for the sports activities, not for necessarily farmland. We have other farms, people who are supposed to be doing farm. They will be doing maybe in Abbey farm, where there is vast land, but not on the farmland which is within the city and where we expect it to be used for sports activities. But now it still goes back. I was sharing with one of the sports pundits. He actually came out and told me that maybe that is one way of keeping the farmland active, because that's
farmland. It is a golf club. Yes.
By keeping it active in form of farm activities.
Sure.
But what I can tell you,
I've seen the golfers every evening doing trainings around the field. Is it because the field is too large?
Maybe the field is too large. Maybe at the moment to accommodate all the sporting activities. That is why maybe some of these people are putting out that land into use, because it may be lying idle, and maybe that's why they are doing that. But still, this is a sporting land. It's not a farmland. We expect sporting activities to be carried on here. Recently, we did see the whole country coming to Arua, West Nile Golf Club, coming out for sport activities. And if these people come back and find these other beans planted on the farmland, what message are we going to be telling them? Because these people are coming back from places where they believe there are golf clubs, also golf fields, and they're not seeing farming activities happening on these fields. And when they come here, and we are showing them that we are using our golf field for farming activities, what message are we showing out to them? But still goes back. Is what they are doing necessary? Maybe what they are practicing a culture rotational. How do you used to call it? Whereby
I don't believe any of those kind of
instead of planting the grass, maybe they chose to first plant the beans, so that the land also gains more value, maybe gains more fertility in terms of changing the nature of crop that is being planted there. But I still believe that is not the case. Somebody is doing something there which we need to really look out for, and we need to bring them to book and ask why they are doing that, and maybe who are the people responsible and who gave them the authority. And where did they get authority from? That is something we also need to look out for, because somebody...
All right, dear viewer, this is a story that is developing. We will be continuously following up on this matter up to the logical conclusion, and I'll bring to you who are those really venturing into this farming, also where have they gotten the permissions from, but also who is benefiting in this deal. That is one thing we'll be following up on this issue of the golf ground, because really I'm meant to understand that this golf ground has really done a lot in marketing sports in West Nile region. We remember the national team, the whole of the national team came here, and people were really doing a lot of activities on that land. But now if you turn this for your own benefit, and yet it was something really remarkable for the region, then we're losing a lot from this. And remember, this golf ground is located in the heart of the city. So what does it mean? If you are growing really beans, planting your own trees, somebody is actually really claiming that land. I don't think that land has been given for free. So what does this mean? What does this mean to the sports? And then also, if you look at the field critically, It has the perimeter fence, much as it is it is a metallic fence, and on it there are things that have been written. Trespass 10,000, 50,000, all over, all around. I've read all those, but are we enforcing? Who is this dealing? Because these people are digging during the day. I don't think the leaders are not aware.
They are aware, definitely they are aware.
This is something we need to follow up.
Talking about this golf club, this is really one government facility that has suffered. You know the hotel that is there, look at the hotel. And once these people come, yet this place would actually be generating a lot of money to the government. But facility, really look at the hotels, look at what is happening there, look at the building structure, the building structure of the facility. It's really old, it's really dilapidated.
The golf view.
Yes, it is really not in good shape. So I think this golf club, in my own view, has really suffered. Just in terms of, we are still looking at the hotel. We're not talking about it, but we look at it, it really brings pain to our hearts. And now we are seeing people turning the land into farmland. What does the future hold for? What is the future holding of the golf club? Won't we lose this facility in the next 10 or 20 years to come if people are still not taking it seriously like this, and the government is not coming out to strongly condemn this? And yet this facility would actually generate a lot of money. We recently saw sporting activities, and you just tell how many people came from the countryside to this side to see what is happening here, to come and participate. And if we are able to use this facility, we would actually use this facility to market our district, our city. We would actually use it for marketing our city in terms of sporting activities. We would be able to use golf. We would be able to develop talents, people's careers here. And whereby we are still seeing people turning it into farmland, and the hotel is just lying idle, is just lying redundant. We are seeing other things taking place there instead of what is expected of it. And then it really brings pain to our hearts, because we really wanted to see a better thing. If you have been to other golf clubs, I have been to Kampala, I've seen the golf club in Kampala, it really brings pain. Once you compare that golf club to what is here, it really brings pain to our hearts. And other golf facilities, I believe they are doing well.
And but this is the biggest, right?
And this is the biggest.
This is the biggest the country
we would actually use it for
yes.
bringing, we would actually bring in so many people here if all the services were okay. And now people are encroaching on this land. Trust me, very soon maybe somebody will also come out and say this land belongs to them, and will be able to drag government to court. And yet these are avoidable scenarios which we can avoid now before somebody is still claiming that ownership. So I think the government really needs to do enough.
Okay, dear viewers, we are going to bring for you detailed analysis of the issues around the golf club that is really fetching a lot of revenue for the people in Western region, particularly the local government, the city, that has been getting a lot of revenue, maybe if not directly, but also when people come and they watch some of these golfers doing all these things, those who come to really watch, buy things, they go to lodging and so on. There is a lot that really local governments get from this kind of recreational grounds where activities of sports really need much attention, they need vast land, but because losing this, we may not really get another land for a golf ground like that type in this region, because I'm meant to understand that the land conflict in this region is really immense. But now if we leave those kind of facilities that were secured sometime back by our grandparents to these kind of investors who are in courts, hiding somewhere and really making use of them, that is very unfortunate. We'll be bringing more details about this later on. As I informed you earlier on, let's move to Ministry of Health that has pronounced that they have recruited 86% of health workers countrywide, and they help. They believe so much that this is approximately just 4% to the national target that they were advocating for, and they believe strongly that this will help in strengthening the health system and also reduce the cases of deaths related to some of the treatable diseases that the country will be able to manage, and also ensure that the employment sector in terms of bringing labor into the fields of health be prioritized. Maybe Faris, what do you make of these? Are these health workers going to help us much into the issues of response and also treating diseases, because we have seen so much into the issues of absenteeism and low staffing in health sector. Yes.
Frederick, the issues of numbers, I don't think if the people who are recruited still do not believe and see themselves as service providers, I don't think if it will yield very much, because the issues of, I think the issue is not numbers of medical personnel who are maybe recruited or passed out, because we have seen, you can look at the number of medical schools we have in the country today, Frederick, but still you got the facilities, nothing is changing, and yet these medical facilities keep on producing medical personnel each and every year, and now that these people are being recruited into the government facilities, still we are seeing what is happening. That time when I wrote this to you saw what happened. Medical personnel were not there, the facilities were closed, and the masses who wanted the services were not able to access them. So I think it still goes back to the policymakers, and in a way that if they do not maybe check out what these people are doing, because these medical personnel, first of all, before you are passed out, there's an oath you saw to provide services to the people, regardless of what, and to the people who are there, maybe who are recruited. At times it also goes back to them. You see them being recruited, but they tend to take government jobs, I don't know in what, fairly or very, I don't know in what way. What they mostly depend on is their salaries. That is what they want to hear of. They always talk about their allowances. They always talk about their salaries being meager. They always want to maybe see an increment on their salaries, but when the services don't change. But you can tell most of these government doctors who are recruited do not have time to sit on what? At the government facilities. In most cases, they have their private medical facilities where they usually sit and concentrate on. And sometimes they also recruit the people who got these services from government facilities to go to their health facilities. So at the end of the day, maybe it becomes expensive for the masses to access the services, and still it affects them. The poor masses who cannot afford will not be able to get the services of what they expect to get from the government facilities. Still, that goes back to them. But I think it will yield very much, because this is a country where we have been complaining of number of medical personnel, and remember the demand for health services. Health should, in my own view, should be the priority in the budget. It should be one of the things that the government needed to look out for in terms of budget allocations. I think it is the department or the entity that needed to have the much allocated funds.
Okay,
so
okay.
I think
for me, I really congratulate the health ministry for this kind of interventions. We have seen over the years the country really grappling with the issues of staffing, but of course the recruitment has been done. We are waiting to see whether deployments will be done, because also the issues of deployment comes with salaries and so on and so on. Remember, all these staff that have been recruited, it is not that all of them have been deployed, because we are still seeing a number of health facilities in the local perspective really not having enough staff. This challenge has been really a song that has been sung for over the years. It is a plus for the recruitment, but also now let's start following up on the service delivery. Is it really done really to the test of what we are doing? Maybe we have recruited staff, we have paid salaries, we are paying allowances. Are we really getting much from the efforts that we are injecting into these people? That is one thing we need to follow up. The service delivery, we need to follow it keenly in order to really have the impact really felt at the grassroots, because all that we are doing, whether from the headquarters or in the districts or maybe from the sub-counties, the last person who benefits, who really needed to appreciate so much, is the local person, the beneficiary, the community members who come for these services. They are the ones who attest to the quality of service delivery in this country. So for health, that is a good move, but let's focus on now monitoring what these people are doing. There are some of these health workers that have been recruited, but most of them tend to focus much their attention into developing their own drug shops. So can we balance between the private works that these people do and also the government works that they are supposed to do? Ideally, the health workers are supposed to be in the forefront like journalists. Every day you should be reporting at work. But because they are entitled to a leave, we expect the lifts to be genuinely and really communicated in using the rightful channels, other than really absenting yourself or maybe coming and opening the doors of the OPD and you disappear. That is really not really good. Instead of really patients going to look for you as the midwife or the in charge from where you are maybe relaxing and so on, other than staying at the health facility, that is really unfortunate. We are doing this service to this country. Maybe slightly to other parts of the health. Let's move on and really summarize on this recruitment, and then we move to another story. Yes.
Talking about recruitment, I think it is a plus to the government, because they have always raised the complaints in terms of numbers of these medical personnel at the health facilities. So I think this issue, these numbers that are being recruited will address maybe in one way or the other the number of medical personnel who will be at the health facilities. But still, in my own view, I think it goes back. Are these people whom we are recruiting worth what we expect them to do? Will they deliver the services we expect them? Will they have the time to sit at the health facilities like how we expect them to be doing? So I think in that way, maybe at the end of the day, we shall see an improvement in terms of services delivered to the masses.
Okay, so that is one thing. We who are monitoring the services, including also the district leadership and also the sub-county leadership. Now that in every health center 3, there are going to be 2 medical doctors. Okay, there are going to be 2 medical doctors in every health center 3. Then we shall have at least 54 health workers deployed in these health center 3s. That is the move that the government is looking at. Also, we shall have at least 118 staff that will be put in the health center 4s with 4 medical doctors. So we expect that real government's aims of strengthening the health service delivery will be achieved by this. But it's not about numbers anyway. It's about the energy that people are really putting into delivering services. So if we can follow them keenly and also look at whether we are really investing much into the labor market, then that is a plus. Instead of leaving our these medical doctors, health workers going to deliver services in other countries, this will help in reducing that burden of the country really lacking staff, and also leaving those who are really experts to move to other countries. So let's wind up that, and then we come to the issues of the plague invasion in DRC. We have seen engagements in relation to this, and Uganda, DRC meet to harmonize a plague fight. This is coming up from the regional meetings that are ongoing in Dreamland Hotel, that is in Arua district, where the leadership of Ituri province are there with those in Western region, including some of the key personnel from the health ministry who are currently digesting the issues of harmonizing the relationship between Uganda and DRC in the union of really fighting the plague invasion in DRC. Remember, Democratic Republic of Congo has continued to puzzle with this plague burden, and also the issues around the health system that is in DRC has not been really all that well to really curtail this kind of virus that has come to be like a pandemic. So it has stayed there for quite a while. So many people have died, and also now if you look at the statistics from DRC from the past 7 months of this year, we have seen like 73 cases registered from the 36 health facilities that are, they call them the health sub-districts in Ituri province, the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. Now with 14 deaths that have been registered. Faris,
yes,
what does this mean to Western region that is close to the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, where we act as a transit route to DRC?
First of all, Frederick, if you look at the proximity of West Nile to the neighboring country, we are bordering 2 countries. that is the DRC and South Sudan. And how dangerous is this? If you have to look at the bordering districts of Uganda and Congo, which we are talking about, most of these people are actually the same, just that it is the boundaries that came and separated them. Because that is why you'll be able to see that a person living in the boundaries of Uganda can go into farming in DRC, and the other one can also come for trade or other businesses in Uganda freely without being necessarily checked. So it really goes back to the authorities. What the leaders did was very good, so that they devise means, proper means, maybe at the end of the day, of offering solutions. Because plague is it is one dangerous thing that maybe several masses may be suffering from. So if it is not, if the two leaders don't meet to harmonize, it will be very dangerous. It will be very bad for one country alone to come out with the fight, because that is a fight that now needs collective efforts, because it does not only affect one country. Look at DRC. Frederick, you know how long it takes for you to get into DRC, and you know how long it takes for Congolese from DRC to enter Uganda.
Yes.
So because of the nearness, it becomes very bad, it becomes very broad to fight the disease as one country. So two countries, if they are to meet, maybe they will be able to discuss issues that will be able to provide solutions to the plague. And at the end of the day, we shall see the number of reduction, the number of the disease, the number of deaths, and then the number of people who will be affected. So I think by that, we'll be able to address some of the issues affecting the people of DRC and Uganda. And this, I believe, it is not affecting the whole country. It's not affecting the whole parts of the two countries. It may be affecting just a small part. That is why the leaders were able to meet in Arua. I think it is called for. And at the end of the day, maybe some of the issues discussed will be addressed by the leaders.
Okay, if you look at Uganda as a country, registered the last case of plague in 2019. That was a case of a woman who went for a funeral rite in DRC, who came to Zombo district, and unfortunately we lost her, but Uganda really contained the situation. Up to now, we have not registered any active case in Uganda. That means the health system in Uganda is working on well. Maybe, would you believe, like the way I've thought, that could be the reason?
Yeah, I think it's doing well. If this is because of the little numbers of the cases being registered, I think we need to give credit where it is due. I think the medical personnel have fought very much, but some of these diseases, as I told you, these diseases are sometimes very much undermined. Even the medical personnel at times do not put emphasis on them. You remember that time we are talking about plague. That time we were talking about rabies. Remember I told you a case of the wrong diagnosis. So I think it really goes back to still the medical personnel in terms of checking all the diseases. Maybe in terms of the relevant equipment to test these diseases. Maybe at the end of the day, it will help protect our people from the diseases, from them contracting the diseases. You know, this is a disease we are talking about. Still, very much people do not know about. Many people do not know about it, Frederick. It is us to now start telling them about the disease and maybe how it is contracted and how we can protect ourselves from it. So at the end of the day, you will see a reduction in the number of people who will be able to maybe contract the disease. But if that's not the case, we shall still see very many people, because many people contract the diseases. Frederick, I told you about the porous nature of the borders. People can enter free without being checked. And at the border facilities, do we have a measure of checking for these diseases? Or we just look not for security measures?
I think that's the gap that we have. As East African community, we have not really had any lab.
Do we test these people before they enter, before they cross the borders? Do we have measures of checking maybe to see that the people who are entering are very safe and may not be of risk to the people whom they are going to meet? Maybe at the end of the day, we shall see a reduction in the number of people who will be able to contract the disease.
Okay, this disease is really attributed to the rodents, the rats. People really, the rats. There are communities that eat rat. Don't be scared. It is not the rat that you eat. It is a rat that has been identified as these ones that always get their habitats on the roof of the house, or maybe those that stay in the house. So if you are also consuming that, you are bound to this sickness. So that is very critical. We need to take precautions. We have the fleas from these rats that come and bite, especially those who do not want to move away from these traditional systems of housing. All the time, grass thatch houses, smearing them. Sometimes it is not regularly. The issues of hygiene, you are not bathing, so you will have that risk, because the rats are looking for food to eat. So when your house is really not well smeared, or you don't have, at least if you are not impressed in cement, you should be able to smear it regularly. Also organize your house. Make sure your things are kept in a very well, maybe manner, so that there's nothing like a hideout for these rats to really breed and also spread for you this kind of disease. It is a disease of the rats that they spread to people, and also through the fleas that come from the rats. So the rats do not also have borders to cross. They don't have where they are checked and so on. They can cross from DRC, or you might not know that somebody might have gone to visit a neighbor, or maybe a friend or a colleague, a family friend, and so on from DRC. Let's take cautions about this. Maybe we are moving for another break. After this break, we'll be coming back to discuss on UVRI that has said they have opened their labs to all the countries in East Africa to start doing testing of all these zoonotic diseases. We'll come back with that story as we went up with this. Maybe Faris, do you have anything to put around plague?
Yeah, still talking about the issue of plague, just to add on, you know, our people visit each other a lot, and the people are visiting the villages, maybe in the bordering sides of the two countries. Sometimes you may be able to contract the disease from there. So let's be mindful and watchful of maybe to some of the places where we go to. Because some of the places we are visiting may be of very much risk to us. So if we are going to these places, maybe, I want to appeal to the people out there. We need to be watchful, we need to be vigilant. At the end of the day, it will be to our benefit.
But also let's be submissive. When you are coming from DRC, please allow yourself to be checked, be at the border, come through the borders, border points that have been designated where some of these services are there, because you will die alone or you will spread to others and kill your neighbor. Okay, let's take a break.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Inside technology. New TV innovation with an inbuilt decoder that connects you to both StarTimes antenna and satellite signal. With StarTimes Inside Global Star TV, you can enjoy over 300 local and international channels, 1 month StarTimes highest bouquet for free, automatic system update, more benefits, more affordable. StarTimes Inside Global Star TV is available in all StarTimes branches and dealers countrywide. StarTimes Inside, entertainment inbuilt.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
With the health system, the issues of plague coming from DRC to Uganda, whether this is a risky situation that Uganda will ever have, because the neighbors are having this kind of diseases that can really move from one place to another. So at what stake does this put Uganda? At what stake does this put Western region? This is where we are coming up from. So maybe before we move any further, Faris, does this scare Western region that is close to Ituri province?
You know, if the diseases are just within the neighboring DRC, we know how much they have been scary. You remember when Ebola was in the DRC and the whole of, you remember the panic that was in the whole of Western region? It is really, I think it is really scary. It is a scary situation, I should say. Okay. Because we know the proximity in terms of the nearness, in terms of the borders. DRC is just very near to us. And you know, if something is supposed to happen here, likely it affects the people who are also in the neighboring parts of the districts of DRC. And then if it is from the DRC provinces, it will also affect the people who are in the neighboring part of Uganda. So at the end of the day, it becomes a very risky situation. If not amicably handled, if not amicably handled, at the end of the day, it will result in too many deaths because of the nature of the people who are in the neighboring parts.
Right. All right. That concluded the discussions around plague. Now that the Uganda Virus Research Institute has opened up their laboratories, especially the regional labs, to start testing and confirming cases of maybe outbreaks and diseases in the neighboring countries of East Africa. So this is something that has really come in the spirit of patriotism and also developing that state of One Health in the region. Maybe Faris, this lab has been used for quite a while as a reference lab, this UVRI labs. So the whole country, this has been where we have been testing the issues of COVID, confirming them, the issues to do with Ebola, the issues to do with other diseases. Remember, UVRI here in Arua is currently running samples of anthrax from South Sudan. What does this mean to Uganda?
Frederick, talking about this issue of UVRI, I think it is UVRI.
Yes.
Talking about this body, I think it is really doing enough, but the question is, we have always had cases of delayed results. When these people who got these facilities opened by UVRI get also the same challenge, because we have had scenarios during the COVID-19 where people were, some samples were taken from here, but they had to be referred to Entebbe. Are we also not going to be seeing the same cases whereby samples will be taken from the other countries of, let me say, Tanzania, Kenya, and maybe Rwanda, Burundi, perhaps, getting also their samples being transferred from those countries to Entebbe? At the end of the day, maybe aren't we going to be seeing delayment in the results? But I believe that's not the case. I think UVR are doing this. Maybe the samples will be tested from within these countries where the facilities have been opened. But now it comes back. When it comes back to our countries, we have seen centers opened up by UVRI, but are they doing enough? Because right now you talked about they're testing anthrax. How long are they taking in testing the samples? How long do they take? And
okay,
maybe
let me detect from there. In our recent interactions with the management of this facility, especially for the Western region, they told me that clearly this facility has now been upgraded to do so many samples, to test some and confirm so many samples from different parts. Now that they are taking only 2 to 3 days to run at least 100 samples. Maybe I think this is something we really need to appreciate, that if this is going to be for confirming cases from DRC, for instance, from DRC. Also, now that they are testing the cases of anthrax from the South Sudan region, then this is a plus to the country, and also it means a lot in the East African community that Uganda's health system is really doing wonders in preventing or also showing confirming cases in the region, and also this can act as a regional reference lab for the East African countries. Yes, Faris, you can continue from there.
So I think what you have explained it all, I think that is where I was coming to. But when in terms of service delivery, if our services are okay, people will always love what Uganda is doing. And other countries will also maybe start emulating the same. And I think I want to give credit to UVRI. What they are doing is right. Let them sell our country out. But what I expect them to be doing, what is expected of them, that is in terms of the proper service delivery. So I think by that, we do not want to hear scenarios like what we saw during the COVID-19, where people are complaining of the delay in terms of getting the results.
Turnaround time.
Yes, turnaround time. Yes. We do not want to see that happening to those people, because for us, we may be used to them, but those people may not be used to what we are able to provide to them. But I think we VRA staff, through through their planning, will be able to maybe give those proper services. Maybe at the end of the day, we shall also be seeing taxes generated from those ventures. Yes.
Okay, maybe apart from the lab services, Uganda is going to also render the issues of strengthening the health systems of some of these East African countries that will be ready to sign MOUs with Uganda in terms of building the capacity of health workers, especially in these countries where the issues of epidemics is looming so much, especially the zoonotics and also some of these viral diseases. And also maybe apart from establishing structures, they want to also start putting some labs in case a country is ready to buy the idea. They will be putting some labs as nodes. The nodes that will be referring cases that of samples that they collected to these UVRI labs in the various regions, especially for here in Arua, to be catering for the eastern part of Democratic Republic of Congo and also South Sudan, including some parts of Kenya. That will be, if the country's administrations agree, this will be one of the interventions that the country is rendering. You have seen so many times our president talking about the issues of working together as nations for Africa, also the issues of patriotism, the issues of love and so on, preaching all this. Don't you think our nation is leading, is heading to somewhere really doing what the president has for the years preached to the whole world?
I think our flag is going to be raised high, but this will only depend on the kind of service we will be able to deliver out. As I earlier told you, if our services will not be right, trust me, Frederick, it will only be bringing shame to us. But if the services are good, I believe the president's initiative of selling the flag of Uganda will be able to achieve. Get achieved if what we do is right and what is expected of the medical personnel who will be going to these countries to work. So I think at the end of the day, if our services are good, if our services are due, we shall see our flag being raised high, and people will have trust in our services. Frederick, you remember how many people have been complaining about the kind of qualities, kind of products we have been giving out. That time, you remember how Kenya rejected our maize, and you remember how these scenarios all affect us. You remember how the kind of products we always give out. So I think if the medical personnel who are going to these countries are trained and they love what they do, they will be able to raise our Uganda flag very high in terms of the services they will be giving out to these people in their countries.
True. Yeah. If we really render the good and quality service, this will sell us very much. Remember, Uganda's contribution to the East African nations has been really immensely felt in terms of security, in terms of also guidance. Uganda has been used as a benchmark to so many countries in so many sectors, not only health now, as per se. Now we also have the issues to do around agriculture, the issues to do around how the country has been able to contain the widespread issues of immigration and also the issues of refugee management. Uganda has really done a lot in Africa. Maybe Faris, don't you think all these contributions are due to good leadership?
Obviously, very yes. I think the leadership of His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni will always be appreciated where due. I think these are some of the achievements he has done in his government when it comes in terms of providing security. You know how Uganda has been helping the neighboring countries when it comes to providing security. Remember that time how it is playing a great, crucial role, not only in East Africa, but in the other parts of also other countries in Africa. We have always given support. We have, in terms of security and moral guidance, I think by the virtue of his age, he's a knowledgeable man. He has really done a lot when it comes to selling Uganda out. I think this is because of the good leadership of His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. I want to say that. Okay. I think it is. I need to give credit where it is due, yes. Though he has other areas he has failed in.
Yes. Everyone has his own weaknesses. We may not really focus so much into those, but let's come back to health. This UVRI offer to the East African community members, what can other countries learn from this example set by Uganda?
So I think other countries need to embrace and emulate the same. Because first of all, we need to, Frederick, we are living in a country where we need to extend our services. We do not want to see your services only kept to yourself. We need to also sell our services out. So if Kenya is able to bring in something new, maybe we'll be able to learn. The other time I just saw an Indian expert coming from India to Uganda, I think for some cancers and so some surgical things. He came through. So I think if we're able to do the same, at the end of the day, we shall be able to sell our country out. Other countries can also do the same. If an expert comes from Kenya and opens up a medical facility in Uganda and the service is okay, we shall always give credit to this country. We shall always say Kenya is doing this, is doing great in terms of this. We shall always identify these countries in terms of what they do. And one way, how are we going to be able to identify how your country is doing well in a particular sector? I think it is through going to these countries and extending your services to these countries. Maybe at the end of the day, we shall be also able to identify your potential and realize what you can provide as a country. That is, I think, one thing the other countries also need to embrace. It could not be in health, but could also be in other areas. Let's have a look at how the Indians are doing it in terms of the industrial sector. So I think other countries can also come and emulate. If Kenya is able to come and do maybe in agriculture, at the end of the day, we shall be able to identify these countries by what they do. I think that will be a plus. It will be good for them and will maybe help East Africa and Africa develop at one time.
Okay, this is a spirit of development, patriotism, solidarity, and all those that you can say by your own words. Because really, if we are preaching the gospel of being together, living together as nations, we need to help colleagues, yes, our neighbors. We need to help them to avert some of these cases. We are all aware that there are so many diseases that really affect us as a community, because if you look at the issues of rabies, the issues of anthrax, the issues of river blindness, the issues of yellow fever, the issues of maybe you can talk about plague that we have discussed about. All these diseases do not have borders, and once it breaks in one of the countries, and if other countries are not united to fight this virus in certain countries where they are really experiencing this kind of diseases, then it will worsen. It can spread to all the parts of this region.
Concerning the issues of borders, I do not believe it is enough. Remember how we are looking at COVID, when COVID just re-emerged, I should say, when China, we are looking at it, we are saying it is a disease for the Chinese. Little did we know that this disease at one time would
for the white people.
Yes, we are saying it was a disease for the Chinese, a disease for the white people. But we did not know that people move, Frederick, people move, and people moved there, we were able to bring back the disease here. So at the end of the day, you saw the country's economy was paralyzed by the effect of COVID-19. So I think borders just play a little role, maybe in escalating these diseases, but the whole role goes to individual fight. it is upon you. It is you to be vigilant. It is you to be cautious. It is you to be aware of what is happening around you. It is you to protect yourselves and your loved ones at the end of the day. Because if we do not be cautious of ourselves, we shall always spread the diseases out, and the diseases will always keep on affecting us. They will always drain the economy, and at the end of the day, it will be us to be affected by the diseases all. I think that is what I can make of the issues of borders. As I always said, because if you remember COVID, that is one example I can put. And if you remember over the years how Ebola was in the DRC, at one time we saw Ebola also crossing to Uganda. So I think issues of borders, it really goes back to individual fight. It is you to be cautious. If you're not cautious, if you're not aware of what is happening around you, definitely then you will not be protected by the disease, and you will not be able to avoid and fight the disease. By all means, you will contract. It may be you to die out, or your relatives to die of the diseases at the end, which all affects us all.
But of course, let's strengthen communication systems among the communities, also the countries that are neighboring each other. Please, let's say information, right through information. Let's not really cause alarm, because really we want to, if you have an outbreak, please come out clearly and declare to the neighboring countries, so that really precautions are taken in order to avert that in the initial stages of the outbreak. Right, that has been with the team for the Kokoliriko. So my name is Frederick Tamadri. I've been here with Faris Majid. We are moving out and leaving the room for the Eola's program, that is the news in Lubarati, that will be brought to you by Feta Emmanuel, who is commonly known as Fetas. So stay tuned, that you'll be able to also understand some of the issues that are really happening within the region and also abroad.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Star TV with StarTimes Inside Technology. New TV innovation with an inbuilt decoder that connects you to both StarTimes antenna and satellite signal. With StarTimes Inside Global Star TV, you can enjoy over 300 local and international channels, 1 month StarTimes highest bouquet for free, automatic system update, more benefits, more affordable. StarTimes Inside Global Star TV is available in all StarTimes branches and dealers countrywide. StarTimes Inside, entertainment inbuilt.